I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of Ovington in Hampshire. It's about 2 miles to the west of New Alresford and 5 miles northeast of Winchester. And we're going to be doing a circular route to the north of here. Quite a short walk today, 2.25 miles or so, but there's a lot to see. A couple of churches, a pub, the River Itchen on at least one occasion, and a few other interesting things along the way. Now we're filming in the middle of November. We have got our coats on, but the sun is out and fingers crossed it's going to be perfect for walking. So do join us. Well, I've parked my car quite close to the Bush Inn pub in the north of the village. We'll have a look at that shortly. Before we have a wander through the countryside, I thought we'd have a quick look at the village itself first. We'll start off with a church which is just behind me here, and this is the Church of St. Peter. It was entirely rebuilt in 1866 alongside the original 13th century church, which was to the north. And as you can see, made of flint walls with a tiled roof and a wooden tower. I think it's oak. It's got 4 bells inside it. And just have a quick look to the side of it. Unfortunately the church itself is closed, so we can't go inside, but fascinating little archway to the north of the church. And this, in fact, I believe is the west doorway of the original 13th century church. So it's all that remains of it. And then just panning round on the other side, there's the old rectory. So let's have a little meander through the village before we meet the river. Well, the name Ovington means place above. I presume that must mean place above the river. So have a look at the village itself, starting at the southern end. And I just turn round, try and not get the sun in my eyes, but that is Ovington House through there, which looks as though it's having a bit of refurbishment, so we can't see too much of it. But it was built in an existing park in the 18th century, and the estate was eventually sold in the 1970s. And then just by me here, if I can just step back, this is the North Lodge. Isn't that lovely? I love the little windows up there, almost like a church. And the plaque up there, 1837 TRD. I imagine that stands for the one of the estate owners here, Sir Thomas Richard Dyer. He was the 7th baronet between 1770 and 1838. Okay, let's have a little wandering through and see what else we can find. Just by the church there is the appropriately named church cottage. Lovely timber frame. And I see there's a plaque on that side. That's dated 1867 with the initials GFH. So I'm guessing that must be Captain G.F. Hewson, who he too was an estate owner once. It is very, very peaceful. So filming Friday morning, and not a busy road, that's for sure. Well, we're going to continue to head north, and that looks like it's the old dairy cottage. A wonderful old farm building on my left here. Oh, look at those steps over there. I wonder how old those are, all those bits of wood. And look at those triangle shapes on the wall with the brick holes, presumably to allow ventilation. And another plaque, TRD, what does that say, 1837. Another beautiful thatched cottage ahead. Of course, one thing we'll get today, hopefully some beautiful colours. Look at the leaves on that tree, a real goldeny, yellowy brown now. Although we've had a few winds recently, there's still plenty of leaves on the tree. So in the glorious sunshine today, we're going to be in for a treat, I think. I do love these properties. You can see on that one there where the new bit has been added on to the left, but some of the timbers that are on the side here, fairly ancient, I should imagine, but lovely. Well, just before we say goodbye to the village, we'll have a quick look at the pub, the Bush Inn, just by me here. Now, historic England has it as late 18th century, but I have seen some information elsewhere on the internet that suggests it might be a lot earlier than that. Extended in the 1920s, it was a stopping place for pilgrims en route to Winchester from Canterbury. I did find an old photo of it on the internet as well. This is our first glimpse of the River Itchen this morning. Isn't that beautiful? In free flow. We've had a bit of rain recently, so that's probably why the flow is quite fast. And I think this is one of my favourite rivers in Hampshire, you know. It rises in the just to the south of New Alresford at New Cheriton, and then it's about 26 miles long and flows out to Southampton. But it really is quite exquisite, and again we've still got a bit of green foliage around, but a lot of those browns and yellows appearing on the side of the bank there, and the reflection of the sun in the on the water. But, beautiful. And I did come across an old photograph that was taken of the bridge with the Bush Inn in the background, and I imagine it must have been taken from the north bank over there. Now, excuse me squinting in the sun, it is quite glorious. I came for a walk here about a couple of weeks ago, and at this very spot by the bridge there was a lady, and she was painting, had her easel and oils out, and I got chatting to her. Lovely lady. I have great admiration for folk that can draw or paint and create something from scratch, from a blank canvas. Anyway, a couple of days ago she contacted me and kindly actually sent me a photograph of her completed painting. So if you're watching, Amanda, thank you very much. So we're now heading west with the main river on our left, and then it looks like there's a little mill chase on our right. And as is so typical of these beautiful chalk streams, it's so clear with the gravel bottom. I can see quite a few fish in there. Looks like trout by the looks of things. And then over on the far side, some wonderful bulrush. I love their velvet tops to them. Actually, just behind there I can see a chap fishing. So I think what I'll do is I'll try and I'll switch my camera and use the Canon zoom and try and take some footage. That way I won't disturb him. It's fascinating as you go along the side of the bank. Some of these trees look as though they're even actually growing out of the river itself. Look at that. I think, is that some type of alder, I think. I know they like to have their feet wet, but that's ridiculous. But I say, although there has been a bit of rain and a little bit of mud, in general the path's in quite good condition here. So it's useful to know for a winter walk. And I know folk like to know about these things. Plenty of opportunities for dog access to the river for dog dips, but I think it's a little bit too chilly to demonstrate today, eh? Oh, another lovely sweet little bridge which we're now going to cross over and head our way northwards towards the little hamlet of Itchen Stoke. But I'll just have a look at this lovely scene here. We'll see some more fly fishermen in the far distance, and we're going to see the Itchen a little bit later on the homeward leg. Oh, what a super timber framed house, the shallows, and look how the wall is almost, well, it is bending slightly outwards. It really has given it some character. So this is say the little hamlet of Itchen Stoke, and we'll just have a little peek at it before we start continuing to go westbound. A few dogs about by the sounds of things. Just on my right here, the old schoolhouse. Oh, I love those steps. I wonder if that was the original entrance that the school children used to go up to. Beautiful flint and the thatched cottage. And just as we get to the main road, we got our first glimpse of the church. So behind me here is the rather magnificent St Mary's Church. Let's have a look at it. Well, as you can see, it's spireless, although there are two bells up there, and it's based on the design of an old chapel. And this was built in 1866. It's a redundant Anglican church that was closed in the 1970s. It's now looked after by the church's Restoration Trust, although I believe a few services are held here, but not regularly. Its design is influenced by the Sainte-Chapelle, I believe that's how you say it, a Gothic style church in Paris. But look at those unusual spouts on the end of the gutters. Well, this is the third church to have been built in the village. The first one was built in 1270 down by the river, but that was considered to be too damp, and so in the 1830s it was demolished and another church built in the centre of the village. But that too was considered to be too damp, was certainly by the vicar at the time. So this third church was built at the present site. Now I've just seen the door is open and we can actually have a look inside. Let's go and have a peep. Right, in we go. Now just on the left hand side here, I think that is the font from the original church in its own little cubicle. That marvellous marble column. I say, fortunately I've got my little spotlight with me. I can't find the lights at the moment. Right, I've got a door here, so through we go. Wow. That is the current font by the looks of things. Wow, this is a smashing stained glass window in front of me by the altar. But what I'm going to do is just turn around slowly, because this is really what I wanted to see. Look at that. I think it's called the rose window. Not 100% sure, but beautiful with the sunlight coming through. And then, I don't know if this is coming through on the camera or not, with the roof. Beautiful. Pulpit on the side. Then right at this end by the altar on the ground, there's this tremendous tiled labyrinth. I've just seen some little steps into the pulpit. Shall we see if we can go up there? I might be able to get a better view of the labyrinth from up there. Yep. This looks okay. Ooh. Oh, got there. Oh yes. Now you know, a much better view of the labyrinth down there, made up of 1,610 tiles, I believe, 5.1 meters in diameter, based on a famous labyrinth at Chartres Cathedral in France. Brilliant. I actually get an excellent view of the whole church from up here. Just panning back. I'll tell you, that really is a terrific window, isn't it? What a super church. I hope you enjoyed that little tour of the church there. Now, I have made a little detour along a road that's by the side of the church heading north in that direction over there. I just wanted to see if I could see any of the disused railway line that's there. It's the old Alton to Winchester line that closed in the 1970s, and there's a little bridge that this road goes over, but it's just overgrown both sides, so there's nothing to see, unfortunately. So we're going to head now westwards along the main road that goes through the village. It's the B3047. I think it was an old turnpike road that went from Winchester to Alresford many years ago. And it's a lovely little village full of thatched cottages and timber frame buildings and lots of houses with individual characteristics. It's one of those really pretty villages in the area. We're now heading south away from Itchen Stoke and back towards Ovington, and we've just come across this little field here. A little damp underfoot. I suggest if you're doing this walk in the winter you might want some form of waterproof shoe on. I think there's quite a few natural springs out there. It is passable though. And we're now going to head across the Itchen again. See, there's a couple of signs here, the Itchen Way and the Watercress Way. I think the Watercress Way is something like a 27-mile circular route that starts and finishes at New Alresford railway station. Right, well, let's head over this rather sweet little bridge. Sounds as if there's someone with a chainsaw out. Oh, I do love this river. I keep saying it's so beautiful. I think it's because it's so clear. It really is I say that typical Hampshire chalk stream feel to it, and even in the winter it's got that magical look about it. Okay, so we're going to head off into this little bit of woodland here. Well, we're on the homeward leg now. Now I know a few people do follow these walks and come out and do them later after seeing the video. If you get to this point here, this is just crossing the Itchen for the second time, so we've come through that little path there. If you wanted to add a little bit more onto the walk, you could head right and carry on westwards following that path round, and it takes you up to the road. But we're going to take a little bit of a shortcut and carry on up this track, which is going to take us say back to Ovington, and along the way we might see some glimpses of Lovington House on the left. And here we go along this sunken track, and I wouldn't be surprised if this really is quite an ancient one that's worn away over the years. Now, apologies for the sound of the machinery. I thought I could see them. There's some alpacas in the field over there. It's amazing how many fields of alpacas I see around this neck of the woods. And so I can just about, you only get glimpses of the Lovington house through there. I think it's a chap who's using a leaf blower. A little of his work cut out today. And there we are, just looking back down that little sunken track and then up at the trees. And so those colours really are catching the sun. It's a lovely time of year. Thank you. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up or a like, and do make a comment. And as I always say, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. That way hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk sometime in the future. And just a quick thank you to everybody that has subscribed. There's some super numbers now. We thought we'd do our end scene just by the river here. But a super walk today, not a particularly long one, but a very pretty one nonetheless. Unfortunately, the Bush Inn is closed today, so we're going to have to find somewhere else for our cup of tea. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio.